What's up, dude? Welcome to Island Grove Studios. Welcome back to Island Grove Studios if you're a subscriber. I hope you guys are doing well. It's been quite a while since I've jumped on here. It's been almost a year since I've live streamed. November 7th of 2023 is the last time I streamed, and I couldn't let a whole year go by without jumping back on again and letting you guys know what I've been up to. I hope all of you are well. Tons of things have been going on over here. We're in a new studio. We moved, so we're in a new studio space. This is my creative dojo right here. I've got a couple new purchases for the studio, some new monitors. I've got a touchscreen Huion monitor right here in front of me. That's been super awesome. So yeah, the move went well. The new studio is great. Work's been going well. Very busy. Just with this drawing tablet, I finished a 2D animation video for work, so that went off really well. So I thought I'd jump on and explain a little bit of what I've been up to this whole year. I've been working on Roland a little bit here and there throughout the year. It's been a busy year, but I've been doing tons of stuff. I've got shot list for the Excel file. Last time I streamed, I showed my notebook listing out all the different beats for the story, and I was saying I was going to put that into Excel form and have a shot list going in there so it's more organized. So I have that. I have a blend file where I'm editing all the play blasts together and showing just the edit of the previs that we're working on so far. So that I'll show you that, and then I've got Roland fully rigged and animatable. I've got pose library going for him. I've got Red, the antagonist of the story. I've got his full character rig ready to go. And some of his pose library already in effect. What else? I've got asset libraries for objects and other golf balls and stuff like that, and objects in the props and such. Yeah, so let me jump into so actually during the Blender conference, Hjalti really did an awesome previs workshop that I'll show. This is the talk that he did regarding previs in layout. It was a really great talk. I really recommend you checking it out. The link is in the description if you want to watch that. I really recommend it. It's really great. He does a lot of good tips and tricks, but he also runs down his process, which was really helpful for me and what we're doing right now with Roland, because we're in the previs phase at the moment. So you can see he goes through his whole process of writing down all the beats for the scene. He does two kind of passes at it, where he does a theatrical treatment where he locks off the camera in a wide angle and does all of the movements, kind of like he describes it as like Laurel and Hardy or Abbott and Costello kind of a framing right here. So you basically have a wide angle shot, and then you do all your movements, all your acting and blocking, and then you don't necessarily, in the next pass he does a cinematic treatment where he takes that idea and expands upon it. He doesn't just simply put cameras in the scene where he did his first treatment. The first blocking theatrical treatment, like here, is just kind of to get the ball rolling, and then you take that and kind of scrap it, but use it for inspiration mostly. So it was really cool, really good, really great talk. So yeah, I'll show you. Yeah, the link is in the description if you want to check that out. Like I said, definitely recommend it. It's really helpful for previs and for layout of your scenes. So that's one of the things I was going to show you. So here, I'll get through the boring stuff first. Here is a shot list of everything that we need for the story so far. It doesn't go all the way through the entire movie, but a good chunk of it is in here. And this is just the previs shot list, so we're going to redo this again once we have our final previs layout ready to go. We'll make another list when we know what shots we're going to have to animate and all that stuff, so it's a work in progress. But we have all of these shots highlighted in green if they're done. Some of this stuff you've seen in the last stream where we start off with the establishing shot of the mini golf course, and then we make our way into the shack where Roland lives, and that's where we left off last year, which is crazy to say. So I've got the shot list here for us for reference as we're moving through these shots, and as we're doing subsequent live streams. I plan on doing these a lot more frequently. I'm not going to wait another year to do the next live stream, so I'm going to use this Excel sheet to basically keep track of where we are and just crank out these shots and get the movie into its framework phase, if you will. So what is next? Let's do, so we have both of those. The last time, I'll switch over to Blender. Here's another one. So okay, so here is the Blender file for editing all of the play blasts down. Hjalti in his talk said that he rendered out each, instead of doing a play blast like this, where it's a MP4 file with, I've got analytics down here, metadata to show frame numbers, frame ranges, and camera lenses and such, and as well as the actual file itself. But instead of doing it like this, he recommends exporting each beat or each keyframe as a separate image instead of a movie file, because that way you could retime it a little bit easier. And actually, since doing this I've edited this a little bit already, and I can see where that can be totally useful. I just haven't done that yet because I just blocked this out. So last time we met, I'll just go ahead and play this. We start with our establishing shot, Roland jumping up. Well, let me go back. So establishing shot of the mini golf course. We see the windmill over here, just the entire layout, the hill that goes down. Sorry. The hill that goes down into the shack. So we're gonna have more trees and stuff in the final render. This is just for previs. So camera zooms in through the loop slide right on Roland's face, and then we're gonna hit him. This is all stuff we did in our last stream, with the exception of some of the stuff coming up. So you've seen all this before. Our match cuts to the shack, and then we get the reveal of the mini golf course and the windmill in the distance. So all this stuff is new. So I did some of these shots off stream, like in April, I believe. It wasn't until I got around to this. So we see the shot. We're gonna do a reverse shot of Roland looking down at some mini golf balls being played with and having fun. And then we're gonna see a shot of people reaching into the basket of balls and grabbing them. There'll be different colors and stuff. I should do that for the play blast for better readability, but we're going to, people are gonna jump in and start grabbing mini golf balls, and then it's gonna cut back to Roland up here and then we're going to get into his scene. The way this is right now, the timing isn't perfect, especially over here in this general area. We have some cut-ins, some close-ups. I have an alternate shot where it's really wide, and then an alternate shot where he's going around the slide from a profile view. All of this isn't timed perfectly in how I want it to be. I'm just kind of laying out these blocks generally for this moment. So that's where we're at right now. So play this out one more time. Yeah, so that's the edit we have so far. So now we've gotten through all kind of the boring stuff, not really boring stuff, but the more tedium stuff. I'll start to show you where we were last time. Last time, like I said, we finished with the reverse shot of the windmill in the distance, and then we're cutting to the shot. So I just wanted to show you this to articulate what I was working on for Roland's full rig. So the version we did for Roland's rig here last time was very simple. It was basically just a ring parented to Roland, or all of Roland's objects parented to this ring, so I could easily kind of just rotate them around. Let me switch to a different view. Okay. This. So this is basically so I can rotate them around. And this is how I was animating him before in the previous, but I realized since not doing a stream in a while that I could really benefit from having Roland's full rig ready to go, and that way I can insert him into a shot as well as apply some of the what are they called, pose libraries, so I can easily just right away double click and have a full expression of how he's feeling in that shot ready to go and super seamlessly fast. So so that kind of made me pause streaming for a bit because I had to re-render or re-topologize Roland completely. You'll see his geometry is not the best retopo, where I have some, I mean, this could get by, but I wanted this to be a lot cleaner, and the way that this falls off this yeah, like that, just the way that it, you know, unwraps. Even it's not symmetrical, like you can see here, it's not symmetrical at all. Lopsided, it's kind of warped, which is what Roland is, so that could be totally fine, but I wanted a better topology to start us off clean. So basically I retopologized the sphere of Roland, as well as gave some more deformation around his eyes. The glasses are exactly the same, which I will still probably need to do another pass at, because it's still not finalized, but that's okay. A little bit at a time. So now I just wanted to open this up and show you this very simple rig, because it contrasts to the full rig. So I can close this out. Not gonna save, and gonna close out all of this. And then I'm gonna open up a brand new blend file, because what I can do is link them into any blend file, any previs render that I'm gonna do, or any previs shot that I'm planning to do. I can just link him into the scene, and if it's a brand new scene, and really work with it that way. So I've got a brand new blend file opened up here, and what I can do is go to File, Link, and then I'm going to navigate to Roland's character. You can see here that I've got Red's folder and his character ready to go as well. I think in the next stream I'll probably show Red's character a bit more. I might get to it tonight, but we'll see. I don't know if I'll get to start prevising some more of the shots and apply Hjalti's methods to some of the previous shots coming up, but we'll see how much time. This might be a short reintroductory stream to show you what I've been up to, and then do some more previs in another stream very soon. So it's all up in the air. So I'm gonna apply Roland's rig. I'm gonna go into Roland's rig here, and then this is where I have his pose library, his textures, as well as his base character rig. I say base because as the movie progresses, Roland's going to get more scratched up and more beat up, and his glasses are going to get more scratched up too and more loose. So we might do another full character rig that's based on those kind of not surface imperfections, but just that wear and tear. We're going to do a whole separate rig for that, so that's why I call this base. So I'm going to apply, I'm going to collection, I'm going to link the collection called link. And when I do that, I can see that we have Roland's rig ready to go. And what you can't do is go into edit mode or anything. If you check on object here, but what you have to do is, if you want to be able to manipulate or pose the rig that you're linking, you have to go up to Object, Library Override, and Make. That way it'll bring that rig and the character into the scene. It's still linking it, but yeah, so that's how you do it. And then now I can hide my widgets here, and then go into Texture View, and you can see here that we have a fully rigged Roland ready to be dropped into a previs shot very soon. So I'm going to show you a bit more of the topology. So if I go into edit mode here, I can't actually do that. Show you. Can't go into edit mode because it's linked, because you can't edit a linked asset. So, but I just want to show you the retopology. So what I can just do is come into wireframe mode, or actually I'll enable wireframe from solid view. So here you can see, I think I can still solo this. The deformation is much cleaner, much more symmetrical than the previous version. All of the topology, in the way that it the edge flows much more smooth and much cleaner than the previous version. You can see from all profile sides, it looks good. And then also, like I said, a couple minutes ago, I added some more edge loops around the eyes to get some better deformation when he blinks, because I mean, this character is 85% eyeballs, so it's definitely the most important feature, as well as the brows in this character. So yeah, so I've got the character rigged and ready to go. I didn't actually, there was a really good video by, I think, I forget who it was on. It was a Blender artist, but they did a really cool ball rig tutorial. I know Dicko did one, but I don't remember who the other one was by. But if I find it, I'll put it in the description. They did a really cool ball rig. I didn't follow that for this, but it just turned out to be very similar to what I created. I just kind of mapped this out generally and tried to work it out the best I could. So it ended up being very similar, which is funny. So if I go to pose mode on the rig, you can see that we have a root bone, which if you are a fan of Star Wars, you'll see that it's shaped like the Millennium Falcon, because he is our protagonist of the film. I figured if you're gonna make a rig, you know, why use a boring star shape to, you know, have for your root bone? Make it a cool shape. So Roland is our main character. He's our hero of the story. So his root bone is the Millennium Falcon. If you can try and guess what the root bone of the antagonist of the story is, put it down in the comments below if you think you know what it is. So we have his root bone. If I grab the move tool, you'll see it moves his whole rig around completely. If I could even rotate it, you would never rotate like this, but it can completely moves the entire rig all together. Then we have a rotate bone, this red one here. This one rotates him and does spins like this. Can rotate from side to side anywhere he needs to look. You can rotate that way. And then we have these two bones at the top and the bottom. These are for squash and stretch. So this is how he's gonna hop around as well as move around when he's playing. So he goes in squash like this. The bottom one does this same exact thing, but from the bottom. So you can see how we'll use these for animation. So you can squash down, forward, and then stretch that way. And then boom, some of this, boom, back and forth. So you can see how these are super useful. But the most important part of these two bones is that they are independent from the rotation bone. So what I can do is rotate them anyway, and this squash and stretch will only affect the squash and stretch and not like the rotation. The way that it's parented, the hierarchy makes it so that doesn't get messed up. So if I pose clear transforms, yeah, so I can squash and stretch and move them around. When I figured out how I can make it so the rotation didn't affect this, or the squash and stretch didn't apply to the rotation, was a really big win, because it was a challenge to figure out the order of everything. So then we got the brow bones. If I hide the glasses, maybe. I mean, I shouldn't have to hide the glasses because that's how we're gonna be animating it, but like in the movie. But just for clarity's sake, I'll show you. So you got some brow bones for brows. It's all very finicky the way it clips in, but you can see there that it's all working. And it all deforms pretty nicely, and there's not even we don't even have a solidify modifier on here yet. Oh, I do. Oh, we do. Subdivision, I mean. We have one. Okay, yeah, that makes sense. But we have another one here down below. That makes it much smoother, which is great. And then we also have a Boolean. The Boolean is for the rack in the side, but we'll get to that in a second. So let me go back to the rig, clear everything again, and then we have all of these eyelid bones that affect all of the different lines of the model. If I go into, I don't think I can go edit mode again, yeah. Maybe I'll show it at a different time. the edit mode, but the bones are basically just parented from within. I don't know why I can't go into, there we go. So the bones are basically from here and then fanned out to each of these bones. Same thing for the bottom lids. And then, see, some more, yep, more of that. So figuring out how to, that's where the pose library comes in such handy, because having to fiddle with each of these controllers to get him to blink is a nightmare. That would be very time consuming to do. You can see that the way that these are deforming isn't perfect, but if I go into local view, you see that it actually does deform correctly around the eyeball. This lower lid wouldn't go that high up, but this one might. And you can even move it out a tad if you need to. So anyway, doing all of these manually to make a blink would be a nightmare. So that's where the pose library comes in handy. So I'll show that. Whoops. Sometimes you'll break your rig. You just gotta not freak out, because it's fine. It's just linked. Okay. So I think that covers all of the bones in Roland. We did the root bone, the squash and stretch bones, the rotation bone, the brow bones, the lid, eyelids. Oh yeah, and then we have eye targets. So we have this target for looking around, as well as individual eyes for tweaking poses, or what do you call it? Appeal. So those are all the bones in Roland. And that I also have a set of bones in the glasses. You can see here as well, because if I hide Roland's armature for a second. No, not that one. Yeah. So Roland's glasses also have a rig. So these bones here on the sides are independent rotation of the glasses. And then we can also, if you go into bone constraints, you see that the bones here for the rotation of the glasses are the basically master bone of the glasses, and that is being a child of the body rotation. So at the beginning of the story, Roland rolls with his glasses, but then as the story progresses, he rolls within his glasses. So that's when we'll shut this off, basically. I'll show that in a second, but this affects the rotation of his glasses, as well as some tweaker bones for manipulating the shape a little bit of the glasses. We won't go too cartoony and too bendy, because these are made of wood and we don't want to break that illusion, but there might be some squash and stretch or some exaggerated poses that it could come in handy for. But the biggest and most important one is this middle one, because what this is able to do is shift the middle of the glasses from left to right. That way, you might think, why would you want to do that, right? Why would you want the stem of the glasses to be over here? Well, the reason we do that is because, let's say, well, let me put this back real quick. Let's say the camera, this would be good if the camera was pointing right at Roland, right? But what if the camera is like this? over here, or even this could maybe get by because we want to make sure we can see his irises, both of his eyes. We don't want one of the eyes to be cut off like this. We don't want that. Like I said, this is okay, but as you get like these 3/4 views, you're losing one of those eyes. So what we can do is, let's say that's the shot we want, and we want to tweak this. We can take this middle stem bone and just tweak it over just like that and cheat it a little bit. And then maybe tweak these a little bit to give a little forced perspective. Maybe. What? 1 second. But basically that's why I have this bone, so we can cheat the eyes a little bit and make it more readable. If you obviously move the camera back to here, it looks all messed up, but it's just from a shot to shot basis that we're using this. And then I did also some test renders where the camera spun around kind of like this, and I animated this stem bone kind of going from left to right, and it looks pretty good. Maybe I could do a quick example of that. Let's say, well, I need a camera. Let's say camera, go inside this camera. This is just gonna be quick and dirty. Okay. So let's say on frame 80, the camera, well, actually one more thing I'll do is, that's huge. Well, actually it's not huge, it's just that Roland's really tiny. Roland is to scale, and that's important because when we get into the biggest thing that breaks the illusion of realism in CG when it comes to scale, like the things in scale, I'm sorry, things that are scaled in the scene, is the depth of field. If objects are really big, the depth of field won't, even if Roland was like 10 feet tall, the depth of field won't look accurate because, you know, a 10-foot tall object won't have the same shallow depth that a very small object would if you were using a small focus. So having Roland be to scale is important if you want realistic bokeh and depth of field. That's something to keep in mind. But if you're going for stylistic, it's not super important. I'm gonna just move this, make this smaller. Then I'm gonna take a circle, parent the camera to the circle. Okay, now when I rotate this, the camera will go. So let's imagine that the rotation here is right in the middle. So let me split my view. Just hold on 1 second. And then on frame 1, it'll be like this, right? Cut off on his eyeball. Set a keyframe, and then 160, we'll do the same thing. Cut off his eyeball. And then we'll go into so basically this is what we're looking at. So now if I animate the same, if I go into his glasses now, animate this middle bone, let's say 80 is right in the middle, so it's going to be right where it's at. And then one, we're going to scoot it over. I'm going to shut that off, shut this off. Scooch it this way, cheat it. And then 160, cheat it the other way. Now, you'll see that the cheating from from this view, it's wobbling back and forth right here. But from the camera view, it's cheating it smoothly. I mean, the perspective of like as it goes towards here, like you can tell this corner, like it's not super, it's cheating. It's finding a solution. So maybe like as it comes to 160, maybe these two, I have to set a keyframe for both of these as well. Maybe these come out a bit, like that, to help the cheat. Because it kind of comes in a bit. Same thing for this. And that's it. We're making sure that the eyes are readable and clear the entire time, no matter what angle we're at. Even if we brought this circle out to here, there's definitely a limit to where it can work. Let's see, let's bring it to 220 maybe. Let's try that. And then we'll go back into our so this is kind of the whole range. We're just, there you go. That works really well actually. Even there, you know, that's not the best shot. We're trying to avoid angles like that, but it's funny. Look at how crazy from this point of view is. From the camera, it looks pretty good. So that's the whole system behind the glasses rig. And then one more thing I can show. I'm gonna delete everything I just did. I don't need a camera. Is going to here, all this, delete these keyframes. What you can actually do is select both rigs and go into pose mode, and that way you can select bones from different rigs or different sets of armatures. Okay, so I said before that when Roland gets really good at mini golf, he starts to roll inside of his glasses don't move anymore, and he will roll inside of it like Sonic the Hedgehog, right? So at the beginning of the movie, he rolls like this, and he kind of bobbles back and forth. And I can show, maybe at the end of this, I'll show some tests I did with the wobbling, because that was kind of fun to see, to use the non-linear editing or non-linear animation function in Blender to get the wobbling and the spinning and rolling and on different layers, so you can turn them on and off. This is really cool. But basically he rolls at the beginning around like this, but if we turn off the parent or child of constraint on the glasses, then he will just roll around, and then we'll still be able to we won't be able to do pitch and roll like that, so that will have to be we'll have to figure out a solution for that. Maybe I can limit it to, oh yeah, I can do that. So if I go instead of shutting it all off, I can do like that. So we're back to normal, but what I can do is shut off everything except for rotation X. Oh crap, that's not gonna work. Well, yeah, I don't want that, that, or that. Set inverse, clear inverse, set inverse. No, that's not gonna work. I'll have to figure out a solution for that, because we can do sorry, we want him to still be able to tilt back and forth, and the glasses should follow that. So we'll figure it out. But that is basically the whole Roland rig ready to go. So next I can show you is the pose library. So Roland dice in here, right there. And then I'll go into this screen and type in asset browser, Roland poses. So like I said before, manipulating each of these bones to get a blink would take forever. Each time you had to do it, each time you had to animate him blinking, which happens tons of times in a single shot, doing that manually with each of these bones would be very difficult to do and very time consuming. So what you can do is set up these poses. I made those poses already and then used input them as a pose library asset. So I can clear once more, and then I think all I have to do is double click these. Yeah, and you can see all of these poses that we have for Roland. We've got angry 1 and 2, we have blink squish, we have a bored expression. Let me turn off the, yeah, like that. We have board 2, that's more angry board, kind of somber board maybe, some concern, confused. The golf balls do this sort of Toy Story-esque ragdoll fall, where when they want to hide from the people, they just close their eyes and they become perfectly spherical, and you can't tell that they would have eyes, otherwise people would forget. So they have a gentle kind of hiding blink. When you turn on the texturing and stuff, it looks more seamless, but it's also, it's gonna be, we might have to use some shape keys to make this, like, to crease it more to make it very seamless, because you can still see the the bump here, but or we can fix it in post-processing, but we don't want to do that. We have eyes high, we have joy with eyes closed, got sad. So all of these different expressions, sad too, we have scared and surprised. These are the same. Yeah, that's surprised. That's like wicked wide eye. So instead of, like I said, instead of doing all those poses manually, I can use these pose libraries, and then it'll also help when I'm just linking Roland into a new shot. I can just select one of these and just have a base kind of emotion going that is easy to read, and it's simple to input into the Previs shot. So we have our neutral pose here, which is just called default. So there we go. So that's super useful to get this going. So I showed you the pose library, and now I'll show you I've got some objects already laid out in the asset. So we have a pose two separate things: the pose library and the asset library. Asset libraries are similar to pose libraries, but it's where you can drag and drop each of these things on the bottom into your scene without having to import them, importing their textures and so on and so forth. And you can put in tons of things into your asset library, not only objects like I have here. I've got the bricks that will outline the mini golf course. I've got the basket of balls to put in there for if we want it. I've got a character rig to placeholder some humans. Obviously people will be playing mini golf, so we've got a character in there to placehold for them. I've got just a generic golf ball sphere, tufts of grass, and then I also have what I'll show you now. I've got a mini golf ball, putt mat, but also I've got some worlds. You can put in different HDRIs into a world, and then link that world as an asset. So then you can just drag and drop HDRIs into your scene very seamlessly. And then, so what I'll show you now is the grass, and I'll show you kind of a small setup of lighting and stuff. So, take a sip of water. So I'm gonna go into pose mode real quick, and I'm gonna just bring up his. Oh, I have to I have to relink the glasses rig. I'll lift them up a bit because now I'm gonna drop in one of these square grass mats. This is for if I just drag it in, you see I zoom out a bit, you can see as I'm dragging it in, you can see an outline of how big it is. If I do a smaller one, you see it's a smaller size. Mini golf club is tall and cylindrical, so kind of previews how big that shape is going to be. So I can drag and drop the mat right into here, and it imports this whole object, as well as these two clumps right here, clump thick and clump thin, are within this asset. So it'll bring that in as well. You can see that right here. You can see these two things right in the middle. But what we can do is this plane is utilizing a geometry node setup to distribute these clumps of grass along the plane to simulate the putt mat. So we went over that a bit in the poster, which obviously you can see behind me. here. So we utilized this same technique to make the poster and the foreground. So basically when the camera is so low to the ground, everything back here in the background you won't be able to see. So we don't need to simulate individual clumps of grass in the map, but everything close up and close to camera, we want it to be at least you know, there's going to be some depth of field because, like I said previously, there's going to be, the characters are very small, so the depth of field will, you know, hide the grass in the background. So everything in the foreground, we want it to be super detailed and realistic. So if I go into the geometry nodes setup, I'm going to reduce this size so it's not going to crash my computer. This might crash actually, but that's okay, I'll do it quick. So you can see here as I turn it on, these clumps of grass are distributed onto the plane. If I crank this up a little bit higher, you can see the density start to increase like that. If I bump it up to 150, you can see it's getting more and more dense. So then what I'll do is I'll go back into the rig, make sure that he's sitting right on top of the grass there. Like that. And then, well, I'll try to go into render view mode. Because right now we're just in preview, or just in solid view. So without crashing my computer, let me bring the samples down to like 20. See what happens. See if it crashes. Oh, I have to go back. Sorry. Okay. I have to go back and show you again because I screwed up. So we have the plane, 2 clumps of grass that are going to be distributed. As I turn the density up, you can see the clumps get thicker and thicker and more dense. So that's what I missed showing you just now. So I'm going to go back into render view. So right now what we have is just the scene world, which is gray with no lighting. So super dark, very depressing. I don't even know if I'm going to be rendering this in Cycles or Eevee, because I know Eevee Next is part of the new Blender launches, and it looks really good. So I'm not sure how this final look of picture is going to be. We're still developing that. That will take some more time. Right now, we're focusing on the story and the previs. So all that stuff will be, like I said last year in the streams, we'll do side quests to develop some more of that stuff. But these first few streams of getting the story down is the main priority. So yeah, we have our scene world as gray, no lighting. So what I can do is drop in the HDRI, like I said. So I go into my worlds tab in the asset library, and then I just drag in my world that I like to use for this, because it's like in a forest, and it gives us a kind of a cool starting point for lighting Roland. Right now you can see that it's lighting also the putt mat, and giving some nice shadow. If I turned off the geometry node setup, you can see what it'll look like. It's just grass texture. I basically baked this view into a texture like this. So, which actually is too small. So I won't be able to fix it because it's an asset, but well, actually, can I? Maybe I can. Scale to, oh, there we go. So you see it looks similar, but you know, there's no denying when you turn it on, it looks more realistic. It looks so good. So we have our HDRI world, and what we can do is drop in, you can add a light or any lighting setups to an asset library as well. So if I zoom out a bit, drag that there, you can see that we're getting a nice kind of turn on my assets again. We're getting this light that can be, I think it has a empty with it, so you can rotate it around. But the way I have it set up right now is like a beauty kind of pass at Roland. And actually, I think it's a little too hot. It's a little too bright. So I'll do 0.05 for the wattage. Yeah, that's better. So with those just very simple steps, you can bring in your rig, bring in some of the assets, bring in lighting, bring in some HDRIs, all within your asset library and your pose library, for a much more seamless kind of production. So yeah, I'm gonna go back into SolidView for a second because I can hear my computer going crazy. It's probably because geometry nodes, to be honest. So yeah, so that is basically what I've been up to. What else what did I want to talk about? Shot list, Excel file, did that, full rig, pose library, red character rig. I guess I could show red. I'm probably not gonna get too much. I'm not gonna get to layout and Previs tonight. I just wanted to kind of, like I said, this is kind of a reintroduction into the project and the channel, and so I probably won't be getting into Previs tonight, but I will show Red's rig. So here we go. I'm going to turn off Roland for now, and the light. I'm gonna delete this. I can always bring it back in. Okay. So, so now that we have blank slate again, I'm gonna bring in file. Well, actually, before I do that, I'm going to move them over so they can be next to each other. Okay. Now I'm going to hide Roland, and I'm going to go File, Link, Roland, Characters, Red. Should be a character should be here. Hold on. Maybe I don't have the link file. Well, I guess I'll just open this up instead. Maybe I can just append them. I thought I had that as a... Let's try it. So here is Red's rig. If I go into render view, this is the antagonist of the film. This is exciting to show because I didn't have this created last year. See, I made it on March. Looking a bit. 1 second, I'll be unplugging my mic. Hello, we're back. Okay. This is still frozen, but let me see if I can fix. Oh no! The white screen of death in Blender. It's probably because close. Oh, I'm gonna. I'll just show this file. I'm gonna close out the other file. I'm gonna close this one. I won't show them side by side. I'll show the. I'll get the link library. I'll get Red's link file ready for the next stream, and then that way I can bring them both into a shot similar to what I did. No, not Illustrator. Yeah, I'll get Red's character link ready for the next stream, and then I'll have them side by side and show them the difference in like character design. Because the biggest thing is like when I showed the story to friends and family, they were like, "Is Red gonna be like bigger than Roland?" But golf balls are all the same size, so Red can't be any bigger physically than Roland, but the way that his eyes are situated in his head and the way that he'll look down will make him seem taller and maybe a bit bigger in the way that his negative space is bigger on the bottom, whereas Roland is, let me go back to Roland's like, big in the middle where he looks, but Red will be bigger. His eyes will be kind of up here, so he'll seem taller and bigger than Roland without actually being any physically bigger. So that was kind of a solution I thought of. So here's Red. Similar to Roland, I've got his rig all set up. With similar, exactly the same rig in terms of rotation, squash and stretch. Oh, sorry, that's only happening because clip start. Mm-hmm. It's weird. Anyway, showing these areas, redo all that. So we've got squash and stretch on the top and bottom, just like Roland. Like I said before, rotation. His root bone, what I said earlier, can you guess what Red's root bone would be if Roland is the Millennium Falcon? Well, duh. He is Darth Vader's TIE Fighter, which is super fun. I'm going to be releasing a possibly my first Gumroad free asset. It's going to be a collection of fun root bones that you can use for your projects if you want. You don't need to use them, and optimization is always key when you're rigging something. So if it's for pipeline use, I wouldn't recommend it. But you know, if you're using something for fun, rigging something for fun, and you want your root bone to be, like I said, interesting and different than just a star shape, yeah, you can link those in and append them. But I'll show you that in a separate stream, or maybe a short video on my channel. But yeah, so Roland is the Millennium Falcon, and red is Darth Vader's TIE Fighter. So those are kind of fun little Easter eggs in there, in their rigs. So root bone, everything. Once again, rotation, squash stretch, and then the brows. Right? And then all of the eyelids. But like I said, with Roland, doing all of that, doing all of those poses manually would be a nightmare. So we have his pose library, not quite as fully fledged out yet. I just have a couple here for blinking and hiding, but these need to be fleshed out more than Roland. So let me go into, maybe I'll try and go into solid or render view for a second. It's kind of freezing a little bit. I'll try one more time. I don't know what it is. Oh, here we go. Oh, please don't exit out of it. This is Eevee. So here's kind of Roland, Reds. Let me drop in. First of all, sheesh. Let me drop in some of the assets. Can I do that? You know what? Oh, because I'm in pose mode? There we go. Oh, jeez. Okay. to turn off wireframe. Change this. Okay. Then go back. Oh, wow, it's perfect. Look at that. Almost. Okay. Then go back into world view or render view, and then drop in our HDRI and maybe our key light, which again is too hot. But that's kind of reds. I keep saying character design, but they're just spheres. It's literally just 3 spheres, but you know, there's a lot more that goes into the look of the characters, and like I said, with the eyes out there and how they're laid out. So, and I tried to do this trick with the Fresnel on him. You can see here, I tried to, oh, did I not do it? Oh, no, it's there. Normal map. Roughness, I messed with the roughness map. What does that look like without it? Anyway, Red's still a work in progress, and he's not as complete as Roland. So that is basically all I had to show for tonight. I think next time we meet, I'm going to be getting back into the Previs. I know this title of this stream on YouTube was Previs and layout, or Previs for Roland, but like I said, again, this is kind of just a reintroduction of what we're doing here. So let me go back to my full screen mode. Yeah, so yeah, it was good to see all y'all. Hope everyone's doing well and you're creating great projects. Next, like I said, next time we meet, we're going to get back into Previs, the going through the Excel document, which I X'd out of already. We're going to go through the Excel doc and just go down the list and start cranking out some of the shots, and utilizing some of the talk that Hjalti did regarding Previs and layout. So I can go over some of my notes here. I'm just looking at my notes here about the talk. I can maybe upload these. So basically just going through Hjalti's talk and wrote down notes of the different steps, theatrical treatment, the cinematic treatment, some of the takeaways. So I'll maybe scan this in and share my notes, because if you didn't want to watch the entire hour presentation, which I definitely recommend you do, you know, sharing my notes might help you digest some of that information. So yeah, so I hope everyone is doing good and has enjoyed their year, and we're on to big and exciting things. So with that, thank you, and I'll see you guys next time. See you later.